Share some interesting facts with you this morning before we get into the Celtic news and the top 10 countries that have watched this channel in the last 28 days. Now, first up is obviously the United Kingdom, then Ireland, then Australia, and then Spain, because there's thousands of Celtic fans here in Spain, as we know. I mean, I know how many Celtic supporters clubs there are here in Spain. And then there's the United States, then Canada. Now, an interesting fact about Canadian Celtic supporters, they watch this channel longer than people from the United Kingdom and Ireland. And there you go. So people from the United Kingdom and Ireland, you need to start watching this channel longer, because the Canadians right now, in the last 28 days, the Canadians and even people from Thailand, that is mad. People from Canada and Thailand watch the videos longer than people from United Kingdom, Ireland, and Australia, even Spain. So the top 10 are United Kingdom, Ireland, Australia, Spain, United States, Canada, Thailand, Germany, Netherlands, and then Italy. Italy. And even the people from the Netherlands watch the channel quite a lot. So there must be a lot of Celtic supporters in. The Germans hardly watch the channel at all. It's quite funny. It's weird how they're even on the statistics, but there are obviously some German fans, some Celtic supporters based in Germany. But if you're a Celtic supporter, and you're watching this, hats off to the people of Canada, because the Celtic supporters in Canada watch this channel longer than anyone else. So that's just a little bit of information for you. And subscription. When I look at the stats for the channel, and the last month, there's been over 286,654 views from people that do not subscribe to the channel. We are trying to get to 20,000. There's been over 280,000 views from people that are not subscribed to the channel. There's been 190,000 views, 240 from people that are subscribed to the channel. So the big percentage is of people that do not subscribe to the channel. So just subscribe to the channel and get us to that 20,000. Anyway, let's crack on with the Celtic news. We need to listen to the one and only Crazy Man this morning, and coming out of Ibrox.
I don't know what's going to happen the next 2 weeks in that way. So we will see.
Are you still in that position where players need to leave before you can bring them in?
Yes, that's the case, and some of them know it already really long time, and they're still in the building. So that makes things more difficult. But it is what it is. I cannot put a gun on their head to get them out of the building. That's also not the idea.
Oh my God. They are in turmoil. Players that have known that they should have left the building have not done, because they're on that good wages and they can't get the same type of wages when they leave Ibrox. That is shocking news coming out of Ibrox yesterday. And I've got to say, TikTok, get your jelly and ice cream in, because I think it could be just round the corner. Now, before we get to the Celtic manager and show you how to really boss the media and really take control of the media, Alistair Johnson spoke to the media yesterday. Also,
what the boys did in preseason has made a big difference. Again, I think there's a real kind of understanding and cohesion out there. And you saw it, especially in that Hibs match, right from the get-go. I think we've had fast starts and really kind of imposed ourselves.
See your role in maintaining that atmosphere?
Yeah, no, the atmosphere's been great. Again, it's a pretty similar group to last year, and I think we're just kind of building on what we had.
It's been pretty similar group. It is the same group of players as last year. The only difference is two keepers that came in.
We created last year. So, you know, obviously there's some players that we're trying to get back over the line, whether it be obviously Paulo and Ads getting them back into the group was a major plus, to kind of continue on from where we were last year, because we felt, especially at the end of that season, that we were in a really good vein of form and that we were really kicking on and understanding what the gaffer wanted. And I think that, again, we're kind of just continuing that into this season. I think you've seen that with the results, especially over preseason and now these first 2 matches. And hopefully the plan is to continue to kick on. For myself, it's to get my legs kind of up to speed now. I had a busy summer, obviously, with Copa America and a little short break. And, I kind of watched from afar the preseason matches. So now getting myself back acclimated into the system, getting my legs underneath me and getting really going and into this season will be important, because you know how it is. These first couple months here at Celtic are, seriously big matches right from the get-go, because Champions League starts straight away, and there's going to be pretty much a midweek match, it feels like, for the foreseeable future, pretty much until the new year. So, getting myself up to speed, and also, helping any of the new guys who need help settling in and getting them up to speed with the system is going to be really important. But at the same time, we got a really good leadership group here, and
yes, we do. We do have a good leadership. And it is true that Scottish football is one of the... I mean, I don't see it happening as much in other leagues as we go weekend, midweek, in the league and the cup and everything. And we seem to cram a lot into the beginning of the season. Anyway, Brendan Rodgers, yes, the gaffer, the boss, the man that came here not to take part, but to take over. The man that takes no pish from the media. The man that was asked the question yesterday, the Rangers are getting no allocation then. Brendan Rodgers just went, drop mic, hold the friggin' bus, mate.
Obviously, the news has emerged over the course of the last few days. There'll be no away fans in the games coming up between Celtic and Rangers, the first 2 at least. As someone who spoke so enthusiastically about the return of supporters to the fixture, what's your reaction to it?
Clearly disappointed for both sets of supporters, because it's been a long time.
At that point, Tavernier phones Sky and the BBC and says, wait a minute, I thought I had that copyrighted, that comment. Disappointed.
Since we had this sort of a decent allocation for both clubs. I think it's not complicated. I believe there was an agreement in place to carry out works to ensure that the clubs are done. It's in place for both sets of supporters to come. Celtic have been working on that for a number of months. I know that, and I know the work that has gone into it and the investment to ensure that everything was right for this fixture. So, but you can only do that if the agreement is upheld with both. So, if we can't then guarantee that, then sadly we aren't able to open the gates for away support for this one. So, I think the statement was that it was for the next 2 games. So, fingers crossed that after that, we see in the final couple of games that we can get the supporters back in.
And the good thing about it yesterday, as soon as the official statement came out from the SPFL, Celtic put the 2,500 tickets up for sale to their own fans. Yes, they sent out an email straight away saying that there are tickets now available for the Glasgow Derby. They would have been as well saying no friggin' Huns allowed, because let's face it, they don't know where they're going to be playing their football when it comes to January. When they go into Europe, they have to stay at the same stadium. They cannot change stadiums midway through a European competition, which means that they're going to be into January anyway. I think if Europa goes into January the same as the Champions League, they will still be at Hampden then. And let's face it, they haven't put in planning permission to get in the safety netting or any safety controls at Hampden, because it's all
good
been
of the
last
fixture
minute.
For the good of the product. Could Celtic have taken it in good faith that Rangers would have had everything in place in time for the return fixture at the start of next year?
Well, no, I think beforehand you got to...
No.
I think the board have made a really, really good decision in terms of, the club's job is to protect the support. And if there's not that guarantee that come the second fixture, then I think it's only logical that you wouldn't reciprocate. So I think Celtic have played their part in what they were asked to do. And again, I go back, nothing of this was Celtic's issue. Nothing. when you go back to when this all started, it's nothing to do with Celtic. Celtic gets dragged into this here as being a Celtic Rangers thing. It's not a Celtic Rangers thing. This is a Rangers
not a Celtic
thing.
Rangers thing. No,
so
Rangers.
Celtic, when even they're asked to and have this agreement to make the stadium safe and everything else, we plough money into that. We do the works, which started months ago. And that, like I said, on both parties, it hasn't been agreed. So it's not complicated. It hasn't been done. For good faith, whatever way you want to put it, there's still an agreement for both, right? So it's not done. It's not great faith. If we allow Rangers supporters in, then we get to January and our own supporters can't get in. It's not good faith. So I think that the agreement hasn't been upheld. So Celtic rightly have to defend their supporters and their club. And sadly, as I said, the Rangers supporters miss out on this game and Celtic in the return game. But let's hope that after that, we can then find a way to get the supporters in.
I think that there's every chance that Rangers might go into liquidation by then, just to make sure that they don't have to pay the builders. Because let's face it, they are sitting on money that they were expecting to come into from the Champions League that we're going to pay off the legal fees and the 9.5 million that they have to pay a certain company by the end of this year. And it wouldn't surprise me one bit whatsoever that the day after that Glasgow City Council signs off on the building works that has been done in Ibrox, that the old liquidation time comes again. Yes, get your jelly and ice cream. And it is an absolute shambles of a club. It's been a shambles of a club since it was its formation since 2012. And this new club that came into Scottish football and under the guise of the old Rangers has just been... It is comedy gold. The gift that keeps giving. It does not stop. The banter years are ours. And meanwhile, Celtic just keep on doing what we do. We keep on improving. We keep on spending money. We keep on making sure. And all the banter that they've got is, have you paid the victims? Have you paid the victims? Small-minded minority twats in Scotland, isn't they? Rather than looking at the bigger picture. Anyway,
Kyogo is a doubt. Good thing you've got a new signing in Adam Mira. You must be delighted to have that one.
As if by magic. Yeah. It's well, I'm absolutely delighted. People talk about transfer fees and everything else. This is a guy who paid that last year. I'm delighted for him because I think that he's got huge potential. He showed that last season, and if ever I was so relaxed on a signing, it was this one here, because I knew what his talent is. What you never know sometimes in recruitment, and you never really understand it and know it until you come in, is the mentality of a player. And I think what I've seen with him in my time here is that he had proven to me he has that big game mentality, big club mentality.
Big game mentality, of course he does. When he won, he helped us. Well, did he single-handedly win the Scottish Cup just a few months ago? It was him and Paolo, really, wasn't it? It was him and Paolo, and it's fantastic news. And you've got to say, Brendan Rodgers, as the manager at Glasgow Celtic, owned the media yesterday, and he's right, as if just by magic. Yeah, this one materialised out of thin air, and I think the board. And let's be realistic here. When Kyogo went down and he had that shoulder, Brendan Rodgers must have stood on the touchline in Edinburgh and just had one glance round and looked up to Nicholson and went, I fucking told you, we're one injury away from a fucking disaster here. And it's amazing how quick that the Celtic board will move when we're that close. Brendan Rodgers was then asked about the fee. He was asked about the fee, and I've got to admit, I did do a poll, because you've seen a lot of people saying he's never worth 9 million, he's never worth 6 million, he's only worth 3 million. Before we brought in Adam, for me, I don't care about the fee. He's a player that we said we wanted My gripe with Celtic is we did not get him early enough in the window. If we were going to pay the fee that we did pay, we should have just turned around to Norwich right at the beginning of the window and said, right, there's the money, there's what we're going to pay, we want him now, and let's get the deal done and dusted, shake hands and happy days. But no, it's not the Celtic way.
Isn't it? You can never win, can you? You know what I mean? You don't spend money. You do spend money. You spend too much. It's like,
yep.
You know, we've got a great deal.
Yeah.
I know the player that we have here, and for me, it's just a case of just getting him moving in the direction that I believe he can move in. He has all the talent. He's 6'3", he's quick, he's strong, his touch is good, he can score goals, and like I said, he has big moments in big games.
Yep.
So for me, there's still areas that he can improve on, of course, and as a young player, that's what you'd expect. But I really think that whatever money we paid for him, he's worth every single penny of it, and he'll demonstrate that in the next 24 months that he'll be worth a lot more than that.
Yes, Brendan says in 24 months he will be worth a lot more than that. What is your thoughts on that as Celtic fans this morning? The Celtic manager was then asked about who will be number one striker, and his reply was, look, I think that we needed two number one strikers. They both have different attributes. They both bring different things to the game. It's not the fact that one's going to be on for a certain length of time and the other one's going to play backup. That is not the case. He sees that they're both number one strikers. And let's face it, with the money that Celtic spent on Adam Ida, there was going to be that question. Do we have to sell players before we'll spend in the transfer market? Considering we've already brought in lots of money since Christmas. If you look at the money that we brought in since the last transfer window, we still haven't spent a penny this transfer window.
I think so. I think financially we're in a really good place. I think the sale of anyone, we shouldn't have to determine what we do. Like I've said before, we don't want to lose Matt O'Reilly, you know, but I still feel we need to strengthen in certain areas, and we have the resource to do that. So selling players won't determine what we can bring in, but we need to we want to improve the squad. And again, this is separate to the guys that are here, because the guys here have absolutely been brilliant. You know, they've been great for me, and as we've moved on and connected and everything else, it's been great. But you always have to look to improve, and not only that, there are some certain gaps in our squad where we're light in terms of numbers and cover and competition. So that's what we have to work very hard to try and achieve by the end of the window.
Interesting. He doesn't want to lose Matt O'Reilly. We don't have to sell Matt O'Reilly. He's saying it again, but it'll be interesting if that bid for the 25 million does come in, plus the add-ons to take it up to 30. And Brendan Rodgers had said that then comes down to the player, whether the player wants to go and play in Italy, whether the player fancies making that massive jump in wages. It depends on what the wages are that come in for Matt O'Reilly also. I mean, he's going to more than double his wages when he leaves Celtic anyway. But it'll be interesting. As far as Brendan's concerned, and you can see it when the guys are in training, as far as Brendan is concerned, he does not want to lose Matt O'Reilly. And that'll be what he's saying to Matt on the training pitch. You know, it's just, all right, mate, how you doing? Simple as that. You know, we don't want to lose you. Brendan will be saying, I don't want to lose you. You know, and the more that he can talk to the player and keep him, the longer that he's at Celtic throughout this window, right up to the last minute, I think that Brendan can speak to him day in, day out in training. And Matt O'Reilly will know that he's going to walk into the Champions League games this year and he could be worth even more next year. He could be worth even more. And I've said it. Is it a short-term view, Celtic taking the first 25 million offer that comes in when you've got 50 million from the Champions League this season? We get into the Champions League next season. That's another 50 million pounds that Celtic will get into the coffers. Sell him after that. That's 100 million. That's a way more than the 25 million that Celtic would get in this season. And I think that's the way that Celtic are secretly looking at it. They say, yes, there is a limit on the player. The good thing about the Celtic is, and the good thing about the contract with Matt O'Reilly, that it isn't one of those contracts that triggers, there's a 25 million deal comes in and it triggers the transfer. There isn't that in Matt O'Reilly's contract. It's just what Celtic value the player at the current moment. And it has to be said, the current moment. If he goes into the Champions League and performs the way that Matt O'Reilly can perform, and he knows that his head's screwed on and he doesn't need to be thinking about transfers, which he seems to be at the current moment, could Matt O'Reilly's valuation go up? And that's the honest question that I'm asking you that's still watching to the end of this video. Tell me in the comment section, do you think that Matt O'Reilly has room for improvement as a player? I think as soon as he gets into the national team also, which I think will happen under Kasper Schmeichel's watch of him on a daily basis also, and the fact that there's an ex-Celtic player currently in charge. Morten Wieghorst is currently in charge of the national team, which should help Matt O'Reilly just a little bit more, getting some more game time. And his aim will be to go to the World Cup in 2 years' time. So tell me, before we end this video, do you think that Matt O'Reilly's valuation can go up any further with fantastic performances in the Champions League this year? And on that note, have an absolutely fantastic day to all you Celtic fans all around the world. Remember, we will be going live an hour and 15 minutes before the game tomorrow. There will be another video tomorrow. I might do it live after 5 p.m. tonight. 5 p.m. tonight, once the Scottish football results come in, we'll just have a look at the table and we'll see what other Celtic news is kicking around today.